Ben Johnson shares his frustration over Kyler Gordon and his repeated injuries this season. We'll talk a little bit about that. Plus, DJ Moore and more talk about DJ Moore at that. And we're going to discuss the Bears' playoff odds after the rough loss against the Packers. We'll talk about all that, plus the Bears' playoff chances and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content today, y'all. I want to start off this. We're talking about Ben Johnson, his comments in regards to Kyler Gordon, because Ben Johnson is sharing the same frustration that a lot of you guys and Bears fans have in regards to Kyler Gordon, saying this: he was warming up in pregame and felt his groin strain. We didn't feel like we were in a good spot to have him play and compete to put him in that spot. We'll see how it goes from here on out. It's disappointing. I wish I had a better feel for the individual, but with him being out as much as he's been, haven't really gotten to see him on the field and competing to get to know him like I'd like to at this point. I don't know the biggest predicator of soft tissue injuries having a previous one, and he's kind of in that rut right now that we're not able to get out of. So we're going to exhaust all of our resources in and outside of the building to make sure we're addressing and doing what we can to get him back healthy again. So Ben Johnson, I mean, that's a key word, right? Hey, I haven't seen him enough on the field to really have a good feel for him as a player. That's basically what Ben Johnson is saying, and I think that speaks very loudly for a head coach to say that about a player that could be a key factor for Dennis Allen and his defensive scheme. Now, I have seen something from a lot of Bears fans saying, oh, well, we got to get rid of Kyler Gordon, all this type of stuff. I don't necessarily agree with that. I know it is very frustrating that Kyler Gordon has played in only 3 games this season. But we do know that Kyler Gordon, when he's on the court, he's one of the best nickel cornerbacks in the NFL, and you don't let that go, for me, without having something. And I know C.J. Gardner-Johnson has been great for the Chicago Bears, but I think one thing we saw with C.J. in the last game is that more younger, quicker wide receivers are going to give him problems in coverage. Kyler Gordon has a little bit better of ability to do that, albeit you got to get him on the field a little bit more. Bears just signed him to a contract extension, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon, and I think the contract that they signed him to does show how they view his performance when he's on the basketball or on the football field, and also how he could be used under Dennis Allen. You don't give a player like that a contract extension without Dennis Allen having a big plan for Kyler Gordon, and we haven't gotten to see that this season. But Ben Johnson also points out that, you know, when you get a soft tissue injury, it is difficult to get it to stop recurring while you're still trying to play, and it probably is going to be something that, you know, re-aggravates or causes a little bit of problem for him or discomfort for the rest of the season. And so, you know, when you hear, we had a voicemail the other day on shut Kyler Gordon down for the rest of the year, then try to move him. The try to move him part I disagree with. The shutting him down for the rest of the year, that is something that the Bears may have to be forced with asking themselves. And, you know, when you're in a playoff push and you're trying to get into a run for the playoffs, it's a little bit more difficult of an ask to do that. But, you know, Kyler Gordon just has not been on the field very much at all this season. And for a new head coach, new defensive coordinator, you know, and I'm sure, you know, with Ben Johnson saying, hey, I don't really have a good feel for him as an individual yet. Imagine what Dennis Allen feels. Of course, Dennis Allen has seen tape. He's watched tons to kind of know how he wants to use Kyler Gordon and how Kyler can fit in his system and scheme. But he just hasn't been out on the field enough for this team, and that's just that's a problem, right? And so we'll see. He's going to be listed as questionable. We'll see if he can get back out here. The Bears have 4 games left, so even if he plays in all 4 games, you're looking at a 7-game season for Kyler Gordon. Now, I will say this: with the Bears hoping to make the playoffs, and we'll talk about their chances and odds to make the playoffs at some point in this episode. You know, you want him to be out there, and he has a chance to perform in that. And, you know, I'll say this: if the Bears win 1 or 2 playoff games, I mean, we'll see, right? And Kyler Gordon plays a big role in that and plays well in that. I put that up. That every playoff game is worth probably about 2 regular season games if he performs well in that. But that's just a moral thing, right? You need Kyler on the field, and I think that the Bears are still a better football team where Kyler Gordon's 100% healthy. We haven't really gotten to see him or Jalen fully healthy, right? And I think You've seen that from even Jalen Johnson and some of the things that we've seen from Jalen on the football field. It's just you can tell that these guys aren't fully healthy and they're trying to get back out there to help their football team. And that's commendable, right? To want to be out there, to try to get out there, to try to be with your guys is commendable. But you do need more from that. And if this does continue, for example, if Kyler has another season like this, that's where I'll be more in line with some of the people that say things like, all right, bet we got to get Kyler up out of here or something like that. But, for this season, even with Kyler's injuries, let's be clear here. He's played in way more games than he has not. 14 games his first year, 13 games his second, 15 games last year. If you're going to miss 2 games a year, I can deal with that. What I can't deal with is you missing 11, 12 games a year, and that's what the Bears are going to really have to evaluate that. Same way they're going to have to evaluate with Jaquan Brisker. But the difference is Kyler got his money. Kyler also, like I said, is one of the best at his position in the NFL. You just need him to be healthy. And unfortunately, this was one of those seasons where we never really got out of that rut and rhythm of being injury-free. Hopefully next year is better than that. You're going to always deal with injuries. It's football. It's NFL football. There are always going to be injuries out there every single year that you have to deal with that hurt and limit your team in some ways. And that's why depth in the NFL is hugely important. But you need somebody like Kyler that's going to be out there. And we know what Kyler can be as a weapon once he's fully healthy. And hopefully we get to see that version of Kyler Gordon more often, going forward in his career with the Chicago Bears. But I think this is very honest, and Ben Johnson has been very honest since he's come in here, is that, he's the straight shooter. And that's what I do appreciate so much about him, right? And so, Bears paid Kyler Gordon this offseason, and he's one of the best nickel corners in the game of football when he's healthy. You just got to get him healthy, and it's definitely negatively impacted this defense that we have not had Kyler Gordon out there as much as we've needed to. And I guess we'll see how that goes for Kyler Gordon. But let me know what you guys think on that down below. With that said, right, I do want to talk a little bit about the Chicago Bears and their playoff odds, right? You look at how things go right now. The Chicago Bears dropped to 9-4 on the season. We still won 9 of our last 11 games. And after starting off the season 0-2, the Bears season has still been really good. We're now in the final month of the season in December, and Chicago sits in a really good place to make the playoffs. They have right now, about a 60% chance to make the playoffs, which is really good, right? But they're going to have to really get these wins off. And we'll see what happens there, right? According to NFL.com, the Bears have a 65% chance of making the playoffs, and that's after the loss Sunday against the Packers. They dropped from number 1 to number 7 in the NFC at 9-4, and we'll need to win probably 3 of our final 4 games to guarantee ourselves a postseason. Now, probably can still make it with 2 wins, but we're probably going to need 3 out of those last 4 games to guarantee ourselves a spot in the NFC. And that listen, is going to come against other teams that are battling for the playoffs. When you look at it right now, right, this is where the NFL playoff standings stand as things are right now. You got the Los Angeles Rams at number 1. The Green Bay Packers are at number 2 at 9-3-1. The Philadelphia Eagles are number 3 in the NFC at 8-5. You have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 7-6. They're right there. The Seattle Seahawks at number 5 at their 10-3. And then the San Francisco 49ers at 9-4. And the Chicago Bears, they're right there at number 7 at 9-4 as well. The Bears are going to be taking on, we're going to face the San Francisco 49ers. That's the team right above us. We got another game against the Green Bay Packers, which are number 2 in the NFC. And we got a game against the Detroit Lions that are also trying to compete to make the NFC playoffs as well. Those are the 3 games that we have against teams that are battling for playoff position. Of course, we got the game coming up against the Cleveland Browns where we are listed as a favorite, as we should be. And the Bears have to take this game very seriously. But you're looking at 2 wins can get you in. 3 wins probably guarantees it, right? And so the Bears have to do that. Now, if you win out, you're, of course, guaranteeing yourself. 13 wins, that's probably going to guarantee you a spot in the playoffs, right? But are the Bears going to win out? That's the question that's going to be here. And the Bears are going to have to tighten the ship. One thing that the Bears are going to have to do is stop the slow starts. Right now, we haven't always gotten out the slow starts. It's sometimes been we've allowed teams to get back in the middle, right? But the Bears have to play a full, consistent 4 quarters of football. If you don't do that, you are going to allow teams to come back against you. Yes, we are top 10 in the league in scoring, and that's great. That's fine, right? But you have to be more consistent with it. And the Bears, the offense specifically, we have to find ways to take better advantage of red zone opportunities, which is something that I've been talking so much about here recently, is getting more touchdowns in the red zone. We got to take advantage of those, but we also have to score when our defense gets stops. And that's something that has also lacked for this team. You fix one or both of those things. If you fix both of them, you're going to win a lot of these games, right? If you fix one of them, it's going to put you in a even better chance to win some of these games. But this is a test for the Bears team. And this is why when somebody, we were in the last 6 and somebody was like, the Bears are going to sweep the last 6. I'm like, listen, I'm too much of a realistic person, right? Like, I don't get me wrong. Do I have my meathead times where I'm just all in as a Bears fan? Yeah. But when I do this podcast, I try to check that when I sit down in front of this microphone and talk, right? But I think overall, like, you look at these last 4 games. 3 of these last 4 games are at home. I think you have to win all of those home games. You have to win against Cleveland. You have to win against Green Bay. You have to win against Detroit in the final. I would love to see us beat the San Francisco 49ers as well. But the Bears have to tighten up and they have to show that they have the capability of doing it. And if they don't, it is going to get ugly. So the Bears are in a good position. They're in a great position. They still control their own destiny. And that's the place that you want to be more than anything in a playoff push. You want to be in a spot to where things are in your control. You can control by winning, right? You don't want to be in one of those situations where, like, yeah, you could win, but if this other team wins too, you're not going to make it. If the Bears win 3 out of these 4 games, they can get in. If they win all 4 of them, they're going to get in. They control their own future. They control their destiny. They have to use this to their advantage and make their move here. And let's hope that the Bears can do that. If they can, things are going to go really good for the Bears. If they can't, things could get ugly for us or can get tight, right? Like I said, you can still possibly make it with 2 wins. 3 wins kind of guarantees it, though. So, this odds for the Bears to be 65% to make it a better chance than not to make the playoffs is great, because who would have really thought we would have been here? And some of y'all are being front runners, because I don't know if y'all can know. All I got to do is click your name. I can see every comment you ever left on the channel. Some of y'all were saying that the Bears are going to win 3 to 5 games this season because of a new coach. Now, and let me be clear, it's perfectly fine as information changes and you get new information to change your opinion. But some of y'all talking like y'all ain't have no doubt. That's the thing. It's just fine to admit that, hey, yeah, this team was Darius did it. He admitted it, right? Like, hell, he said if we beat the Packers, he was going to start talking Super Bowl, right? So this is a guy who thought that we wasn't even going to make the playoffs. So the Bears have made steps in the right direction. We got to continue to work and improve if we truly want to get there, right? And some of the ways that we need to get there is the next 2 topics we're going to talk about. Ben Johnson talked a little bit about DJ Moore, right? And DJ Moore has been a hot topic for Bears fans over the last 2-3 days, right? Got some Bears fans that have been calling for DJ Moore to be traded literally since we drafted Luther Burden. You have some Bears fans that say, hey, we just need to get DJ Moore more involved in the game. And I agree with that too. Like I've said, I operate from a place you want to keep talent where and when you can. Now, if a situation presents itself to where you can change, you could trade for a game-changing edge, and DJ Moore is the vehicle to get you there. Okay, then I'm willing to listen to those talks. But some people who have the thought, oh, just because we have Luther Burden, let's let DJ Moore go. No, it's okay to have an abundance of talent. We have never been in that spot for the Chicago Bears. It's perfectly fine to have an abundance of talent. But as many people have pointed out, DJ Moore went from having a 1,000-yard season to not much here, right? And, and I want to say this. People who say things like, oh, Caleb Williams remembers when DJ Moore said none of the quarterbacks are better than Justin Fields, and he's holding that against him. That's stupid. Now, I tell you, that is stupid. And this is where some people get so caught up in fan brain that they don't realize. Like, of course, DJ Moore is going to back his quarterback at that time versus unknowns. Like, and I guarantee you now, if you ask DJ Moore the same thing about bringing in a different quarterback than Caleb Williams, he's probably going to back his quarterback now too. DJ Moore is somebody who's going to back his quarterback. Now, DJ Moore's production has not been great, and it has left a lot to be desired for, and some of that is him not being as prioritized. But I think people forget, when DJ Moore was had that 1,000-yard season, he was the wide receiver. We didn't have nearly as deep of a room as what we have right now, right? But for what it's worth, Ben Johnson said this: I don't know if there's anything with DJ. I thought he ran some pretty good routes over the course of the day, and we just couldn't give him the ball, which that was not the intent. I thought going into the game, we had more for him than any other player in the offense. Was a little surprised at the end when I saw the stat sheet for one catch like he had, right? And that should be surprising. DJ Moore is better than that. DJ Moore has 39 receptions for 498 yards and 3 touchdowns on the season. He also has 67 yards on the ground rushing and another touchdown there as well. And that's Ben Johnson trying to find ways to work him into the offense, right? But part of the problem, of course, is the emergence of Rome Odunze. Rome Odunze has turned into Caleb Williams' favorite weapon. Right behind that is Colston Loveland. Luther Burden has also started to find in his groove and found some chemistry with Caleb Williams as well, right? So then you also look at the tight ends, Colston Loveland. Like, there are just a lot more weapons now on this offense than when DJ Moore had his career year with the Chicago Bears. But I'll say this, right? DJ Moore to only have one game where he's gone for over 50 yards in the last 5 games, that's not going to cut it. DJ Moore is better than that, right? And that was 64 yards against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we got to get better in involving him in the game. Now, one could say that, Caleb has to have a better job at prioritizing and using DJ Moore better and going to those reads. And I won't doubt that at all, right? But there's no doubt that DJ Moore has just not been as productive, things that are in his control and out of his control. I'm just saying the production hasn't been there where it was before. There are tons of reasons why for that. The Bears got to get that figured out. If you get into the playoff scenario, DJ Moore's ability for yards after the catch, he is a possession wide receiver. His ability to do that is something that you just can't ignore, and that is something that I got to look at Ben Johnson, Declan Doyle, and even if you need to get in Caleb's ear about that, you have to find a way to get DJ Moore more involved. Whether that's in the run game, whatever it is, you have to find a way. He is a playmaker. What Ben Johnson's motto is get the ball in the hands of your playmakers and let them figure it the hell out. And that's what they have to do here, right? His production's gone down every year as a Bear. 1,364 yards that first year with 8 touchdowns. 966 yards last year, 6 touchdowns. 498 yards and 3 touchdowns so far. We need to get DJ Moore and more involved, right? Especially if with the contract that he's on, all those type of things. But I will say this, if there are, whatever reasons, if it's chemistry issues, whatever it is, if that is going to continue to be a thing, the Bears may have to look at something different. And that's just the reality of using your assets correctly, right? So we'll see what happens. I'm not in this case that we got to trade DJ Moore just to trade him. You want to have a plethora of options, a plethora of talent. And by having that, it means that you're not going to have, especially with the offense not being as consistent, you're going to have some of those areas where a player just isn't getting the ball at times. But you got to eliminate that, spread it out a little bit more, become more versatile, and then we'll see how that's going to go, especially with Rome Odunze not being 100% healthy as well. We need to get DJ Moore. There's no excuse for DJ Moore not to be more involved in the passing game. And that gets us to the last topic, right? Caleb Williams' accuracy. So Brad Bix of the Chicago Sun-Times spoke to a league expert in regards to Caleb Williams and his accuracy issues, right? They talked about his footwork being erratic and how it's impacting his weight distribution. They went really high level in this one, and that's why there are some passes that just sell in him, right? And so Brad Bix said this. I had an interesting conversation with a longtime league observer the other day. He made a really interesting point. His opinion was that quarterbacks with the best chance to go from being inaccurate, where Williams entered last week, was among the 33 qualifiers at 58.1%, to very accurate or better athletes. His theory is that it's easier for highly skilled, quick-twitch athletes to make mechanical adjustments, starting with their feet, than less athletic, more pure pocket passers who have been throwing the ball the same way since the start of their college or even high school careers. And it's a really interesting take, right? So they look at the data of that, right? And so they look at Frank Tarkenton, right? Who the first half of his career was 53.9%, the second half of his career, 59.7%. Randall Cunningham went from 55% to 58%. Steve Young went from 58% to 66.6% for the second half of his career. Steve McNair from 57% to 61.9%. Michael Vick from 53% to 59%. McNabb went from 58 to 59, and Russell Wilson went from 64 to 65%. So there is data that backs this up, that more athletic quarterbacks do become more accurate athletic quarterbacks become more accurate as their career goes on because they have that, right? They do look at current examples like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, right? Josh Allen was at 62% in his first 4 seasons and now at 65%. And then Lamar Jackson went from 64 to 65% as well. So there's some signs that if Caleb Williams stays committed to learning through this, that he can turn this around and become a more accurate quarterback. He needs to become a more accurate quarterback. There's just no doubt about that. We've talked about that. You guys talk about that ad nauseum, but there are some signs that could come. And I guess that supports the thing that I've been saying, where it's like you look at somebody and some of the throws that Caleb Williams makes, and they're ridiculous throws, and then he misses some of the give-me's. So if he improves on that footwork, has better rate distribution, those are the things that can help him become a better quarterback. and he's going to need to work on those. And it's just good to see like raw data thrown out. I'm an analytic person. I'm a data-driven person, so I love seeing data like that. So I wanted to give that to you guys. I know it's not going to turn everyone, and it shouldn't. Until Caleb Williams shows it on the football field, everybody is in their right to have an amount of doubt on him correcting his accuracy until he shows and proves it. And he's gotten it more inaccurate as the season has gone on. So there are definitely signs for concern there, and it's up to Caleb Williams to quiet those with the performance on the football field, and we'll see if he can get that done. But that's going to do it for today's episode of Chicago Bears Central. The Bears playoff race is heating up. Tough conversations are being had in the Bears locker room, which is really good, and big decisions are coming up on the horizon in the offseason, and we're going to be breaking it down at every step of the way. So make sure you guys drop a like, hit the subscribe button as well, and always comment on everything from Kyler Gordon to DJ Moore to whether this team can still make the playoffs. How you guys feeling about that? But like I like to end every episode on, man, you guys can follow us at Bull Central at Shy Bear Central. You guys can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.